All right, folks, we have some fairly alarming breaking news with massive implications for the United States. Donald Trump is now publicly escalating his unilateral and likely illegal war on Iran. No longer content to merely take out its nuclear capabilities, Trump is now publicly calling for regime change, the sort of thing that happened when the United States attacked Iraq and Afghanistan, the sort of forever war that Trump promised he would never get us into. And now, not only is he advocating for that sort of thing, MAGA is spiraling in public. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends. A lot of people are not surprised by this. They felt it was inevitable given that Donald Trump was nowhere near as committed to peace as he tried to pretend that he was. As Mediaite reports, Trump threatens regime change in Iran with shocking social post. Make Iran great again. Despite assurances from his administration that the U.S. is not trying to overthrow the Iranian regime, Donald Trump has just issued a stunning statement to the contrary. In a shocking Truth Social post Sunday afternoon, Trump floated the possibility that the U.S. may seek to topple the Iranian regime. Here's the post. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MAGA. M-I-G-A. Make Iran great again. Donald Trump publicly calling for regime change. The sort of regime change that he swore he would never lead us into, and seems hell-bent now on leading us into it. The Sunday afternoon Truth Social post directly contradicts a comment made Sunday morning by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who told reporters at a news conference that the U.S. mission in Iran, quote, has not been about regime change. Vice President J.D. Vance expressed a similar sentiment today, Sunday morning, on NBC's Meet the Press. Quote, our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime change. We want to end their nuclear program, and then we want to talk to the Iranians about a long-term settlement. While this is the first indication Trump may be seeking regime change in Iran, Trump did claim in a Truth Social post on Tuesday that the U.S. knows where Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is hiding. This is breaking news. Donald Trump, once again revealing his true warmongering colors and making an ass, not just out of his own administration, people like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth, who are now going to try to twist themselves into not like, oh, we didn't lie. Oh, when Donald Trump is calling for regime change, what he really means is, he wants people to change their pants. It's going to be pathetic. And he's also making an ass out of his MAGA cultists outside the administration. Former MAGA cultist Dave Smith, the libertarian comic and political commentator, is lashing out at Trump. He said 2 days ago, prominent accounts on here were mocking us. They were bragging of that Israel was doing the job themselves and that they alone had destroyed the Iranian nuclear capabilities. We were paranoid conspiracy theorists for saying that the U.S. was going to get directly involved. Today, we are at war with Iran, and Trump just called for regime change. The propaganda is moving fast on this one. Neocon, Lindsey Graham, is celebrating. He says, as usual, Trump is spot on with his desire to make Iran great again by changing their regime either through their behavior or new leadership. As Trump suggested, who in their right mind would want this regime to continue the status quo, attacking their neighbors, oppressing their people, and being the largest state sponsor of terrorism on the planet? If you like that, you're a sick puppy. Count me in for any way possible to make Iran great again by making it decent again. And he's echoing the MAGA, M-I-G-A. Unbelievable. So if you look at regime change, I'm sure it should be trending soon. People are already commenting about this. Rubio, this wasn't a regime change move. Trump, hours later, why wouldn't there be a regime change? 3 question marks. Our view is we've been very clear that we don't want a regime change. Trump, hours later, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Again, he's making a total ass out of the people who are supposed to serve him. Hegseth, this mission was and has not been about regime change. Trump, hours later, why wouldn't there be regime change? Ron Filipkowski of Midas Touch, pointing out just when the paid MAGA shills got done cranking out 36 hours of posts to their divided cult that was only about nukes and not regime change, Trump does it again. Harry Sisson pointing this out as well. Caitlin Collins, CNN, Trump suggests he's open to regime change in Iran. Vice President Vance said earlier the U.S. was not seeking regime change. Sagar Enjeti, the pro-Trump co-host of Breaking Points alongside a friend of the show, Crystal Ball, is now publicly defying Trump. And again, don't want to interrupt somebody's road to redemption, but eventually there needs to be a reckoning for Sagar and Emily and others as well that this was entirely predictable, and Democrats, whether you like them or not, are simply the intellectually and morally superior party, and any pretending otherwise just makes you a fucking liar. But Let's allow them the road to redemption, okay? We need as many allies as possible, but eventually there needs to be a conversation that maybe they shouldn't be quite so eager to grade a moronic demagogue who's morally and intellectually inferior to literally any Democrat alive on a curve. I digress. So yeah, folks, I mean, people are all over this. Thomas Massey, Republican congressman, pointing out this is not America first, folks. Brian Tyler Cohen, friend of the show, mocking Tomi Lahren, MAGA commentator, because she responded to Brian. Brian said, is this you, Tomi Lahren? By pointing out some contradiction in her previous post. Tomi Lahren responds with, yes, and I stand 10 toes down exactly on what I said in this tweet in 2019. Are you confused, Brian? Dropping bombs and dismantling 3 nuclear sites is exactly that. Quick and decisive victory. Please let me know which part I can sound out for you. Brian points out 14 minutes after Tomi Lahren sent this tweet, Trump called for regime change in Iran. Congrats on aligning yourself with George W. Bush 2.0. You're even doing mission accomplished by declaring, quote, quick and decisive victory. And it's good. People need to keep this shit up. Make fun of these unprincipled losers. We were right, they were wrong, which is almost always the case with Trump. Trump is entirely predictable in terms of his warmongering imperialist energy. This is a man who talks about, invading Greenland and conquering Canada. He wants territorial expansion. Whether or not he will find the wherewithal to actually go through with it remains to be seen. But this is who he wants. This idea that he's some sort of dove is insane. He simply co-opted that rhetoric in order to appeal to people. And the MAGA shills who defended him and who are twisting themselves in knot even as we speak to defend him now should be relentlessly mocked and made fun of. Do not let up. Mehdi Hassan pointing out, oh, look, J.D. Vance got humiliated by his boss again. And we should also point out, it's now being reported, as I mentioned in a previous video, a senior U.S. official similarly acknowledged that the American strike on the Fordo site did not destroy the heavily fortified facility, but said the strike had severely damaged it, taking, quote, it off the table. The person noted that even 12 bunker-busting bombs could not destroy the site. We'll see what people like Marjorie Taylor Greene do because, again, they're not coming out and criticizing Donald Trump. They're just saying things like, oh, we pray for peace. Let's not get involved. And Donald Trump is doubling down, making an ass out of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Charlie Kirk, Tomi Lahren, all the people over at Fox News, everybody except, quite frankly, for Lindsey Graham, who is coming out ahead in this. So we'll see what happens, folks, but keep an eye on this. Donald Trump is publicly calling for a major escalation in his unilateral and likely illegal war on Iran, and the implications could be massive for the United States for years, if not decades to come. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.